marijuana in his house and having plants in his house, all within the limit. And he was charged with having a gun, a mandatory 2 years in prison, which was registered, and he had a permit. What was my client John Bagley supposed to do? Should he have gone and found some street justice? Is this the message? Is this the message patients are supposed to get? That they don't have the same rights as anybody else? If they get robbed, don't call the police? That it's foolish to call the police and think that reporting a crime isn't going to get you in trouble? Is it too much to ask law enforcement to protect patients and caregivers? Is it too much to ask for equal protection of the law? Instead we've seen the worst. I hear law enforcement say things like, "You don't look like a patient." What does a patient look like? Pain, suffering does not have a face. Prosecutors all over the state are filing motions and judges are granting motions that don't allow patients, people accused of crimes, from using a medical marijuana defense in front of a jury, and not allowing the attorneys to mention medical marijuana or the patient's cards. They're keeping the truth from the jury. And now, the government convenes wanting to decide, the government wants to decide who is a patient and who is not a patient instead of the doctor. Let me tell you something. When you've been thrown into the criminal justice system, it's no place for anybody. On my worst enemy, I wouldn't wish him to get thrown into the criminal justice system. The destruction that patients and caregivers are seeing on their lives, felony charges being brought against you, the psychological effects and emotional torture of being charged with a crime, the visions of the police coming through your door, showing them your car, being shoved to the ground and a gun jammed into the back of your head, and the family pet being threatened to be shot in front of the children. These are law-abiding citizens believing in the government's promise of the protections that came with the card, and yet they are being arrested, charged with crimes, and having their property forfeited. Do you know what these people say when asked what they would have done differently? They say, "I would have lied to the police. I wouldn't have trusted the police, and I don't trust our government." Is this the message that we're supposed to walk away with? How can we take you seriously? What was seen as such a brilliant act on the part of the voters has been met with enormous challenge to its implementation as the voters intended. Safe, reliable, consistent access to medicine. It's just that simple. Yet here we are, September 2011, fighting for what we already won. Begging the question, why would anyone in their right mind be part of this registry? That's what the government has brought to us. A 63% overwhelming majority of a law passed by an initiative. And people are asking the question of why they would even want to be part of the registry program. But let me tell you something. The battle's not over. The people that opposed this law, the biggest opponents, were the losers in the election. They're the people that want this law changed. They are the force behind the desire to eradicate its protections. And they are in the minority. They do not represent the will of the people, and they definitely don't represent the people that are here today. After 18 years of practicing law, I've learned that when you hear prosecutors say that the law is a mess, it's unclear, it's Swiss cheese, it usually means the law doesn't favor them. But you know what? I have to say this. In my involvement with this community, I can say that it has just been a tremendous testament to